Hi, I'm in the backyard. I'm sitting with Oshin. He has renamed himself. My son, Aaron Troisani, renamed himself to John Aaron when he was 16 years old. So maybe Oshin, who used to be Owen, uh, is 16 years old now. Maybe he's old enough to rename himself. I um, I want to thank Time for creating. Yeah, I love New Mexico Light, Michelle. I want to thank Time for giving me this time uh, to gather with others in the field of creation. I feel like there's such depth. Welcome back from your trip, Anne. Morning, Beryl. I feel like so much is gathering in the mist. So much is gathering in the subconscious, not just the subconscious of a human psychological personality, but in the subconsciousness of the planet, in the subconsciousness of the pulse of life, in the subconsciousness, the underpinnings of existence itself. Morning, Myra. And it's just really this time, this 8 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time that I started really at a request of Jackie Murray now is so different. Morning, Sylvie. It's so a slot in time, almost like a Bali high or a moment when you slip through a slit in time and you get to step into the dynamics of consciousness and creation that presence themselves, that don't give us a um, in the world dialogue, don't don't give us dealing with life in the human world dialogue. I can't tell you how extraordinary, special today is. Unexpected. You're seeing the light come over the mountain. You're seeing it on the top of my head and seeing it on Oshin's head, because it's takes a while. The Sendias are 12,000. So it takes a while for the sun to make its way up over high enough to come in our backyard. And then at night, because it goes down in the desert, you get to watch it go down for a long period of time. It suddenly flashes once it crests the mountains into our backyard. But would you be willing just to hang with me today in the non human culture experience that I felt occur when I sat down here with Oshin and my cactus, and this is the apricot tree, to and went into wonderment, went into wow, hello. There's a terminology, and I'm doing this very intense body of work about the beingness of leadership and the being of leader, not the doing or the role you play, but this period of time that we're, good morning, Electra and Gail, this period of time that we're in right now, we we have in truth moved into the realm of being. And I cannot begin to tell you the wonders and the possibilities and the powers that exist there. Sometimes I think, wow, You know, I spent 7 years and then 7 months really trying to deepen a conversation because I knew this time was coming, and I knew that having some relationship to being, good morning, Britt, needed to have a place. But every day when I wake up, I think to myself, oh my goodness, there's no way I can catch the mental mind up. That there's almost like a prayer in my heart, a prayer on my lips all the time that human beings can, enough of us can feel that slit open, that those, I had a young woman that uh, aborted her, not aborted that way, miscarried, and recently at 5 months. And it was not even a hiccup for me to say to her, it's no worry. She'll find her way back. The veil is so thin now. But how that would have been heard, and maybe even now in the past, was like a psychic prediction. But no, no. Every day I notice much, how obscured the concerns and worries of a human life in comparison to these gateways, these openings, these moments in time. And remember, a moment in time isn't like a calendar event. A in time is where you're not interrupted by the linearity of the circus life of a human. And in those moments in time, the slit opens, this gateway, this portal opens, and you're in the presence of um, the phenomenon of being. And it's not being. New Mexico loves cars with no mufflers, including motorcycles with no mufflers. So you'll get to have the music of the cars with no mufflers while I'm talking. The and this moment, it's been um I would you all let Gail know if it's me or if it's on her end, that am I freezing? Because I am actually fairly far away from the modem. It doesn't look like I am on my end, so let me know. So the phenomenon of our existence is being interrupted by the deeper nature of being. And being is not identity. Being is a realm of existence where we only be with life being life. Thank you, Beryl. So the phenomenon is not addressable in the way our mental perception works at this time. I don't think that's going to be true shortly, but at this time. So very simply, I walked out here. I I sat down here with Oshin and the apricot tree, and the sapphire light that she sees is actually a hummingbird, the flash on a glass hummingbird feeder that is actually sapphire blue. And all this phenomenon of this slit, that when I sat down, we weren't in we were in my yard and we were on this call, but we'd shifted into the a realm that lays beyond human comprehension. But the most important part of that uh, realm was has to do with its connection to us, not our connection to it. Like we don't know the connection of the. I think I have the garbage truck behind me now. we don't have the connection of what the sun feels when it reflects on our shoulder. We don't have what the bush feels when we walk by it and grace it with our hip. We don't have those sentient registers. So it's a very significant moment when that contact occurs. Usually it occurs in our what we would call traditional space. Uh, it occurs in a manner that is, we experience it like we're driving down the road or we're out taking a walk. But my prediction is that we'll start to actually feel it come back and be active in a different manner, in a manner of we're drawn into it. And there's a very specific way that you're drawn in, that you know you're drawn in if you're sensitive to it. Because even though you're looking at the very same thing you were looking at, uh, Yvonne said something about gone into frozen sphere. Does that mean me? Okay, great. Um, the the difference is that everything around you is still there, but where you feel it in your brain, when you feel it in the pulpness of your brain, is that your brain is looking in on where you're looking. You're not in where you're looking, even though you look like you're in the same place and you're looking at the same things, but your brain is in the background of the foreground. And that's going to happen more and more for human beings. It's very indigenous. Indigenous people, when they're healthy and we haven't destroyed their minds or their minds haven't been destroyed, they look in on this place. But their brain, the pulse of their brain, particularly this back lobe back here, is in a frequency that is beyond the physical world itself. It's in the background, that it's like being in the water we swim in or the air we breathe, but we can't see it, but we can register it in our brain. So the reason I'm doing this course is to scale capacity of being. And even though the course is based on the promise that we will leave being in the being of leader and being in the beingness of leadership, the attention is that when one is being, one is in being leader. When one is being, one is in being leadership. It's not a cultural response to a human world. It's an ontological or a nature of being response to our direct link with creation. And the we are in the background of our consciousness more and more now, that allows us, one, to observe, allows us to feel the morphic resonance of being more, uh, the kind of some of the tricky things that are happening. Some of the tricky things that are happening is um, our daily, see how the sun's coming down? It's very fun. Soon it'll be right over me. Um, so I'm just saying we should really trust our brains right now. And I mean the pulp brain. We also have a gut brain, which is pretty active right now too. But our pulp brain is the neural has the neural wiring for the background of consciousness that gives the physical foreground substance. And so the reason I decided to spend 6 weeks of my life in 12 sessions in a very intense conversation regarding the ontology of being until you get access to being in a more crystallized, more powerful manner, is because I know that's what's becoming available to us as humans, is the nature of being. And it doesn't end with an object. It isn't the nature of being human, the nature of being here, the nature of being alive. No, it's being. It's a state of existence that has more authentic authenticity than our human personality. Yeah. So today, with the cars going by and the garbage trucks and and the wind blowing and the sun coming over, I am definitely holding us all in a state of being that pulled me us through the fabric of the physical world into the background consciousness of the non-physical world for us to dwell in. So one of the things you might walk away with today is you might walk away with a curiosity. And that's how consciousness rises. Consciousness rises through curiosity, inquiry, struggle, anguish. I prefer the softer tones of inquiry and curiosity. But it basically, consciousness rises to meet your demand. So you might want to walk around just in an inquiry, a query, an unanswerable question of how do I know, or how do I register being? How do I register it? Because you don't have the answer. Meditation gets at it. But I'm really talking about a structure of consciousness that we're designed to exist in our active life, not our passive life. And it's coming. It's coming. And I could probably list some of the things that let you know that's so, but then I would be dealing with mental perception. It's not a good way to go. It's more living in the inquiry, living in the curiosity. Your consciousness is what develops registers for it. Your consciousness is what develops a direct link with creation. And your direct link with creation is being creation, being human, where creation reflects upon itself, gaining knowledge and awareness of itself through its multidimensional, multi-intelligent, multi-sensory system that we often refer to as a human being. So I'm going to say it one more time. We are where creation reflects upon itself. Repeat after me. We are where creation reflects upon itself, gaining knowledge and awareness of itself through its multidimensional, multi intelligent, multisensory system that we often refer to as a human being. I would say that is a mental, structured statement. One of the things they talk about in this course is carefully crafted statements. I think that's a carefully crafted statement that actually, if you think it, good morning, Teresa. How's our boy? How's he doing? Um, if you just let yourself think that I am, where creation reflects upon itself, gaining knowledge and aware of itself through through a multi-dimensional, multi-intelligent, multi-sensory system we often refer to as a human being. So that would be being. Being is where creation reflects upon itself, gaining knowledge and awareness of itself. Remember, knowledge and awareness. Knowledge means word thinking, awareness means being present to, of itself through its multi dimensional, multi intelligent, multi sensory system that we often refer to as a human being. So we could also say, giving my love, Teresa, and my enthusiasm. It's maybe a bit interrupted by the wind, but it wants to be part of our party. So you could say, I am creation, where I reflect, I am creation, where I gain knowledge and awareness of myself through my multi dimensional, multi intelligent, multi sensory systems that often is referred to as a human being. I'm going to say that with me now. I am creation, where I gather knowledge and awareness through my multi dimensional, multi intelligent, multi sensory system, sometimes referred to as a human being. That's what we're becoming present to in these slits in time, these moments in time where that slit opens and we're in the background, ourselves as creation, observing the foreground, what we call human being. And I'm having this conversation so you can recognize those times. One of the physical problems, physical challenges, not problems, as we as we shift as a consciousness, is that our physical body is in the process of shifting also. One of the things, if you really are interested in this conversation, I would recommend is watching Sai Baba walk across the floor. He had it down. Most gurus sit. or stroll, but a lot of them sit. And it's why we sit when we go into meditation, because the physical body changes its algorithms. It goes strongly into the sympathetic nervous system. It calms. The only real operational system that's left working is the digestive system. We can put this in the book, Electra. Take notes. So, for instance, when people were in Shasta, I said, please slow down your walking. Please notice that the body, if it's not being allowed to slow to its calm, if it's not being allowed to be still and move slowly. So, how I do that when I'm in that state is I know where I'm going next. And that we actually have to do that when we learn how to walk the spirals, the Damanhur spirals, is I know where I'm going next. So the only concentration I have is I take my mind and go there, and then my body recalibrates so that it has the body memory to go there without its own, uh, while it's still in a state of stillness. So everything I've said for years will only become more valid, not less. The the biological system, like I talked about on the we talked about on the World of Unity um, call, the body is shifting into being a reservoir for being. It's shifting because it knows that the consciousness it carries is shifting. Promise. Really promise. So I think that these Fridays will start to be practices. How's that sound? Now, I'd love you to feel your pulp brain, that's the one in your skull, and any descriptors that you can post. I'd like to get, I'd like to hear any descriptors. If if nothing feels different, just you can write that too. But I'd like some descriptors of what's happening in the brain, because what happens for me is that when I'm aware of this slit that I'm shifting from the back foreground of my existence into the background of being part of creation, I actually have a lot of feel feelings, sensations in my brain. It feels engorged. Usually for me, the uh, back part back there starts to become highly um, active. Often my these here start to have a kind of a pressure because I think it's going to be important to get some neurological relationship with what's happening. I think I know what happens with the algorithm of rhythm in the body when it moves from a state of doing to a state of being. That's really clear because many people trip and fall or feel dizzy or can't get their bearings. That one's not too hard to figure out. And, oh, I know, crinkly. And, good, good, good. We've also brought our attention to it, but we don't have many brain registers like we mostly consider our dizziness a physiological issue. But I think we need to become aware and to get some knowledge around that awareness. I was no Electra and I, and i.e., Heather, who's on vacation right now, this exploration of the meta body. Electra and I were discussing it yesterday, and in the book, I'm not going. Oh, by the way, reading the book should induce a lot of skull pulp brain uh, activity because it literally is working with the brain to shift access points. And why do we share? We don't share to get the answer. We share to give it a place. Do you know how many registers a human being carries that has no place? And remember what I said at the beginning of the call? The beauty of a human consciousness is that when it gets curious, when it gets inquiry oriented, like, who am I? Remember that strong one? Who am I? And then you spend, or what am I? You spend the next 40 years in the awakening of that. You never get to the answer, but you have more of am. I am that. This is being. This is our journey now. It really is. It really is our journey. And more people are being driven into it that don't have any kind of background like this. Their systems are moving into it, not their mental perception. Oh, now we have mama squirrel who's in our yard. I can't turn the I don't know if I can turn it to I don't know if you can see her all the way across. I do think she needs to have a place though, so we'll try it. I don't know if you can see her all the way across. She's at the wood pile. Bring it back down. There's our yard. And there's a closer view of our gate that she's going to paint when she gets back. And then there's me. Hi. Didn't know if you could see this mama squirrel or not. It's great. She's looking at me now. So what do you think? Think it might be fun to use Fridays on behalf of all humanity to practice knowledge and awareness, not knowledge that's based on what we've been told up until now. Going back to what I was saying, yes, before you interrupted me. Yeah, I see you. Um, One of the things when Electra and I were talking is I had realized I don't want to do a physiological book on the parts of the body. So what Electra's in the process of doing from her awareness and knowledge is really developing correlates between the non-physical and physical aspects of our existence. We know one correlate. One correlate is the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the stronger of the two nervous systems when you go into meditation. That's a so above, so below, is it not? That's a so above, so below. And then she started having an incredible conversation about the glia cells, which is also fantastic, fascinating that our physiology actually is designed. That's interesting. I've blocked Fridays off too, Myra. Fridays, in fact, Gary Place, he's the man in prison who will be out soon through strange and unusual means, of course. Um, he and I were talking, and I talked to him about Friday has become my imagine you're throwing a ball, and it's like my arm. Friday's where my arm goes back with the ball, and then at the end of Friday, it lofts, and then the rest of the week is about the trajectory, which is actually psychic energy. Um, is actually that's how a psychic mind works. It's an arc. It's not a linear. It's not linear. It arcs. So for me, I'm using the calendar to arc time between Friday and Friday. Well, he's a Buddhist, but he got so excited. I just couldn't even believe it because we talk every Friday at 7, and then I'm with you all at 8. And then for the till September 10th, I'll be with a group on at 10, and then another group at 5. And it really is about building a field, but a field that's arcing into time. Oh my God, it's so exciting. I mean, I tell you, don't even listen to the news. Don't even. It's just arcing into time. Arcing. We're arcing in being time or timeless time, and then we arc from in my case from Friday to Friday, so that we as conscious beings are taking Friday to steep in the realm of being, ever what that is for us, as an inquiry, and then arcing it. The Zen project that Gary and I've taken on is strategic. Oh, what's it? What is it? Strat strategized integrity. I think that's it. Because strategizing is a trajectory. It's not a doing. It's a trajectory. Anyway, I am definitely moving out past the mind of human being into the mind of being, and it feels so good. And I want to thank all of you that have been on the reading the book with me, because I can't hear without a shared field. I can't hear in an individuated model. I only hear the field, and the field is not sufficient without a collective. I also, Mara, wanted to say something to you. Electra shared with me the shock of this is a literal psychic prediction. So I want to make sure that I frame it in that. Because as you know, I have a geopathic mind, basically. And I have the mind of being. Years ago, Werner Erhard said to me, "You know being in a way others you know being already, but what you don't know is human." And I learned human after he said that. I learned human. I really did. But my nature of mind is being, and it's why it makes it hard to hear me sometimes and hard to comprehend what I say, because my mind of creation is the mind of being. It's not the mind of human. But one of the things, Myra, I think I got this right, and write it in the chat if I didn't, uh, was that at the global event that we're already at the dire prediction of 10 years from now. I think that's what you heard. But I wanted to say, I just found out what stung me. It's a sweat bee. I didn't know we had sweat bees out here. This is earlier this morning. They like the sun, so if you're in the shade, they aren't so easy. They aren't so. Oh, I can't believe it. We have her coming towards me. That's going to be fun to see how close. That's amazing. We'll see how close she gets. Look at you, just trotting right over here. That interesting. But anyway, when Electra told me that, I want to try to tell you what I've known for a long time, and it's why I've been working so hard with only a small group. I don't think the collective humanity is capable of what they need to be capable of right now, but it doesn't take a huge amount of human beings. It's all an active consciousness. The greater the frequency base of the consciousness, the more leverage, that leveraging integrity. That's what it was. It wasn't strategizing. Leveraging integrity. That's what Gary and I took on. But that's leverage. If a few, here comes the wind, it's bouncing my computer. If only a small coherent field of people pay attention into the creation of consciousness within which the being can rise, the mind of being can rise, the presence of being can rise, then we basically leverage it into the collective consciousness. I'm not individuated human. I love individual humans, and I'm always there for them in their individuation. But it's the collective consciousness is what I'm interested in, and its ability to leverage different aspects of being, integrity being one of them. Different aspects of being, awareness is another. Being present to what there is to be present to is another. Capacity to observe without reaction is another. There are loads of nature's aspects of being. But I'm just going to talk to Mara because then I can key into your brain and say it from your perspective or say it inside your perspective. Hi, baby. Are you going to come all the way over here? See? Up. Oh, sorry, he heard me. Sorry. I should have moved more slowly. Do you see him? He'd come all the way over to the blue thing with the red chair. He may come back. I'm going to try to capture him on film. Yes, come on back. There's no harm here. Not while I'm here anyway. No, he's going back up the, he's going up the, she. We know it's a she because she had a baby. Anyway, that may have looked like distraction, but it wasn't. So see, we don't know. We don't realize, we don't, I'm going to say we collectively, not we us, we as humans. See, we have a preconceived notion of what the earth is doing, but we forget that the earth knows how to, she is the most amorphic, alchemical creature that we could ever possibly imagine in our best moments. So the minute Electra said that to me, I knew that every year to the climate control people, let's just call them that, they're going to be noticing every year. So every year is 10 years. So if you go and you mark every 10 years what they say was going to happen every 10 years, I'm going to say it's going to happen every year for the next 10 years. Hi, Gail. For the next 10 years, sorry, 7 years. So I'm going to say 70 years of the climate crisis is going to happen in the next 7 years. That's a prediction. But here's the part we don't realize. We're basing it on our comprehension of the planet. We're not basing it on her comprehension of herself. And we're not including the fact that we're made, see this thing right there with fingers painted? We are not realizing that this flesh thing is part of her matter-based system. So it's already shifting and changing. And what's going to be perhaps deadly and perhaps of no matter. I don't have the answer yet. It'll take another couple of years or another year maybe. Maybe next year sometime I'll have more of an idea. But it is possible that human perception will be costly to a human being. It is possible that human beings' fear and human beings not recognizing that their physical system is part of the planetary body and not realizing that their non-physical system is part of the cosmological body, that their fear might induce a level of separation that could be costly. to their existence. That's possible. However, remember that God that visited me in 1994? That's not what he said. He said the shift will be in total. So I would think that the ideal um, activity would be tending to ourselves individually, really getting with the program of moving through the slit into the nature of being. Sorry, into being, not in our mental perception of it or what we try to define it as, but these mental, sorry, these pulp brain activities that are taking over, and then keep being in a direct, see, your knowledge and awareness lives in you. It doesn't live in me. I only stimulate thinking. I only stimulate access points. It's all you individually. It's all you. Ever how you get at it. And there goes the Air Force now. Oh no, that's the airport. Can't remember what that colorful plane is. So the point is that that's why I've been interested in self study and self training, because I'm in this course I'm doing, I'm self training. It's not a thing on my to do list. I'm self training in it. Well, frankly, I don't have a to do list. It's all it's all imprinting the field for me. None of it is a list of to dos. I can't even imagine that world anymore. And I have things I don't do. But then today I remembered that I'm supposed to pay something because I don't need to put it on a to-do list. My consciousness tells me when I need to pay something, and then I seem to have the time to do it. But this crisis between doing and being will continue for about a year. But we don't have anything to worry about. I promise. I promise. We are in the morphic. We are in a metamorphosis. We are in an alchemical shift. We are in a shift from doing to being. We are. We don't have to figure out how to do it. Sorry, that was very funny. You could say it's doing us. It's doing us. So here's how I want to use this place in time. I want us to come to the call, see what we start to register, what we start to experience, what we want to share. We keep it loosey juicy, loosey goosey. Keep it juicy. Not be handicapped by preconceived notions of what people want to hear or don't want to hear, or what you want to say or don't want to say, because that's how consciousness rises in the collective. It isn't directional, it's operational. The more your consciousness rises, the more you presence what there is to presence, the more creation uses the activity of our thinking, of our thoughts rising. I wouldn't say thinking, thoughts rising. Uh, the more our consciousness increases our capacity, simply because we're paying attention to being conscious. It's so simple, so simple. You know, the Ayurvedic practitioner, Ayurveda talks about that the intestinal tract is the consciousness of the soul. And it's just amazing what's happening with the intestinal tract, including the fact the little virus lives in there. The little SARS virus, our new baby, lives in there. So let's just try to expand ourselves and just not be so committed to our point of view about ourselves, and quit attaching meaning to ourself that goes against an appreciation of ourself. Those are kind of small hints. All right, so I'm decided the other thing I'm going to do is the last few minutes before we complete is I'm just going to ask if there's any questions or anything you want me to look at. And I'm pretty sure on my computer, if if Kristen is the last uh, comment, then I have seen all the comments, and that I'll see the next comment. And if not, I just want to see if there's anything you want me to share or look at that matters to you, that you have this moment with me to do that. And you can put no, I'm fine, nope, good to go. Make a response. Make a response, all of you, please, unless you're just not putting on the comment. Hi, Jim. Thanks. Jim's my Anam Cara, my beloved friend. Oh, good. I will. So, what I said to Gary was, um, I think ignorance is the key. Let me go with the ignorance first. I don't think there's anything to overcome. I think there is more the need. I think there's more the need to settle into that something different is happening than what we think. See, we still think as human beings, um, it wasn't Electra's prediction. Sorry, I'm going to answer everybody at once. It wasn't Electra's prediction that the climate conference that Mara went through, she can write it, said that where they thought we were going to be 10 years from now is where we are now, which could look dire. And I'm saying my prediction is that over the next 7 years will be 10 years of what the climate crisis people have been predicting. But that what we can also trust is the earth herself knows how to shift everything around so that a new type of existence can occur. Okay. And so now back to overcoming ignorance. There's no need. The earth is not people centric. The cosmos is not people centric. Humanity is at the effect of its own ignorance right now, but so are children. And it works out. It works out. It works out. Didn't it work out as you as a child? Weren't you ignorant? Weren't you? And yet somehow it all worked out. It all is going to work out. Even how much we want to judge each other. And listen, if I had one recommendation, which is really a leap, I would see if you could, you meaning anybody, could stop being people centric and start being field centric. Yeah, there's a lot of intestinal conversation going on. Don't have the answer to dementia. But now let me talk about leveraging integrity. Let's say that we're talking from being, not doing. So, in the nature of being, you would simply leverage integrity. You wouldn't think about how you did it, you wouldn't think about how it applied. You just would know sentiently that you're leveraging integrity, that you're leveraging integrity. So, the phenomenon would be I like the principles. I tell you all I'll put things up and then I never do. So if y'all really want me to put up what I said I'd put up, you have to message me. As I seem to totally drop out anything I said the minute I'm off this call. And oh, I know. Last time we just did it while we were talking. That's why. That's why I didn't have to do anything later. It was great. So if we have something that has been distinguished, which I will post on here, I wish I brought it out with me, um, which is just for your consideration, which is in this particular course that I'm doing, is is six distinctions of integrity, not just one, but six. And interestingly enough, I operate in the fourth one, which is also the creation exercise, template 3 and 4. Uh, integrity the fourth integrity 4 is what I say is so. Isn't that interesting that they know the creation? Another integrity, I can't remember all of them. There's 6 levels of integrity, not levels, aspects of it, like a landscape, like a contour, like a sculpting of integrity, obviously keeping our word. If we break our word, cleaning it up. The other one is four. I can't remember two. Oh yeah, um, integrity is also un unspoken requests that are expect but requests unspoken that you're expected to uh, respond to, or say you're not going to. That one's been up a lot. And then four is my most important one. What I say is so. I leverage what I say as so. I leverage what I promise that I'll do. I leverage it on behalf of life and what has us exist as whole. Look, it's going to be really hard language wise for a few months, probably into next year, because we're still in the doing model of thinking. How do I apply this? What do I do with this? But that's not what's happening. If you could just have the thinking, what is it to leverage integrity? It will rise in your consciousness. Ouch. I'm standing on an anthill, two of them actually. So I've had my feet up on the rungs of the little table so they don't climb up on me. And then I forgot and put it down on the wood and thereupon got bitten. Um, that's called integrity. The ant is exactly going to bite me if I hit my foot near his house. So the point is that we're in language that we don't comprehend. We're in experiences, in states of being. Uh, Dementia is shifting into a state of being. I would bet money. I would bet money that dementia would not exist if we didn't operate in using the mental mind the way we presently do. We overtax the mental mind. We loop think. We have huge conversations with ourselves about what we are. We use our mind for for our what do people think about us? Human beings operate in a mental configuration that is so taxing to the brain. I'm surprised we don't all have dementia. Well, I love thereupon. That's a great word. So it's mostly to this conversation is for us to come together and not arrive at anything, but to explore and discover and to awaken our own consciousness in its own manner. That's really the important thing for me. And I love being here and I love having downtime with you all and I love hanging out in my backyard and I love the fact that we exist and that we get to exist during these times and we get to have the opportunity to morph to actually in the next 7 years, I promise you, we will be in shock. I'm glad these videos will still be around. I almost should put them in my diary. I think I will to listen to this one in 7 years on this date. I think I'll do that because we will be stunned who we will be at that time. We will be stunned at how our listening has shifted, our consciousness has grown, how being has become something we think with, not something we are trying to figure out. And that enough will have happened in the reconfiguration of human circumstance and human the physicality of this planet that probably will also be busy about tending to what there is to tend to then. 7 years. Amazing. I love you.